Backstage update on Drew McIntyre's WWE future. A Money in the Bank match was nearly vastly different last night. Triple H addresses LA Knight not winning at Money in the Bank. And MJF invades Adam Cole's live stream. Hello and welcome to the Solo Sunday News here with myself, Andrew Pollard at What Culture Wrestling. I hope you're having the best possible day. We had WWE Money in the Bank last night. We had AEW Collision as well. It's been a good old weekend of wrestling, and we're going to get straight into it here with, well, an update on Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior, two-time WWE champion, made his long-awaited return at Money in the Bank last night. Now, Drew has not been seen since WrestleMania 39, where he's involved in that excellent triple threat with Sheamus and the Intercontinental Champion Gunther. And it was Gunther who was in McIntyre's sights when he turned up at Money in the Bank. Now, Gunther had defeated Matt Riddle in a relatively short match, about 7 or 8 minutes, I think it went, where Riddle, basically the story was his ankle was knackered. Gunther just slapping the ankle. Brilliant. That's it. Chopping his ankle, slapping his ankle. Anyway, Gunther got the submission win. And then post-match, Drew McIntyre's music hit. Out he came, got face-to-face with Gunther. Gunther gave him a little bit of a push. McIntyre headbutted him, the Glasgow kiss, and then dropped him with a Claymore before then posing with the Intercontinental Championship. So Drew McIntyre's back. Drew McIntyre's gone after Gunther, and now PW Insider has got an update on what is going on with Drew McIntyre's future, because there were reports early in the year that McIntyre, his contract with WWE will expire at the turn of the year in early 2024, and the two sides, WWE and Drew McIntyre, couldn't agree on terms because McIntyre wasn't prepared to sign a contract until they'd come to him with suitable creative plans, and also there were some stories that maybe the finances weren't agreeable for Drew as well. Interestingly, this new report from PW Insider notes that talks haven't actually happened yet about the contract. The contract itself does run out in early 2024, but negotiations haven't started as of yet. So that seems to suggest that the prior reports about creative unhappiness, financial disparities, maybe weren't entirely accurate. Now, Triple H did speak after after Money in the Bank, the post-show press conference, where he said that re-signing McIntyre is a priority, but he again played down the stories of creative unhappiness and all the speculation that surrounded Drew. And Triple H actually revealed that McIntyre's been absent since WrestleMania 39 due to a minor injury that he had to take care of. So that would explain why Drew's been absent for 3 months? 3 months. There's my math kind of working on a Sunday morning. So yeah, it's interesting to see where we're going to go from this one. So no deal is agreed yet, but no talks have actually properly formally started. So let's see how we go with this one. But Drew McIntyre is due to be on Raw tomorrow night, where he will, of course, be going up against Gunther as that program, that rivalry is rekindled even. It's been a long day. SummerSlam last night. SummerSlam, that's how long it's been. It was Money in the Bank last night. SummerSlam's not for another month. And then after that, it was an early start to watch AEW Collision. So I'm flying on caffeine this morning. A shout out as well to our pal Tully Wilding for his hospitality yesterday in hosting me for a Money in the Bank, even if I had to sit next to a Shawn Michaels fan. Never a good time. And also shout out to my mate Dave Whitby, who actually went to Money in the Bank with his mate Sean, and he seemed to have a blast of a time, especially as a big John Cena fan. So glad he got to enjoy that, mate. But Money in the Bank, there was nearly a massive change in one of the, I'll just get to it, in the women's ladder match. And it's a change that would have had many people groaning. Now, again, this comes from PWInsider.com, where there was a late pitch to have Charlotte Flair replace Zelina Vega in the match. Now, clearly that didn't come to pass, and if it did, we wouldn't have got that really cool, scary-looking Code Red off the ladder that Zelina Vega pulled out. But yes, there was a pitch to replace Zelina with Charlotte, and then, I mean, Charlotte being Charlotte, you have to ask the question of, would Io Sky have won that match after all if Charlotte Flair was in it? Because basically any match that Charlotte's in, especially one where there are stakes, whether it's a championship or in this case, Money in the Bank briefcase, Charlotte Flair is always the favorite to win that, much to the chagrin of many people, because it's just Charlotte takes a bit of an absence, comes back to TV, gets an instant title shot. That's the story we've seen so many times before. That's a story we're seeing right now. And so you'd think that if she was in the Money in the Bank ladder match, then chances are Charlotte probably would have won that. But instead it was Io Sky, and that was really cool to see. A very creative finish as well in that match match, which, it was just really fun to see Io win by handcuffing Bayley and Becky through it was smart. You watched it going, I like this. This is fun. So yes, we nearly got Charlotte. We didn't. Charlotte wasn't on Money in the Bank at all. She did compete on SmackDown the night before, where she lost against Asuka, the WWE Women's Championship, via DQ due to interference from Bianca Belair. So that story's with the Rumble on. Charlotte didn't go into the Money in the Bank. Io Sky did. Io Sky won. I'm happy about that. I'm sure a lot of you are happy about that as well. But one thing that some people are not happy about, is LA Knight not being successful at Money in the Bank. Now, this isn't LA Knight who is getting monster pops upon monster pops. Every week, the crowd is getting louder. No matter where he goes, he is getting loud reactions. Friday night on SmackDown was a huge reaction for him. Money at the Bank was a huge reaction for him. And so many people thought, this is it. They're going to strap the rocket to LA Knight, brother. They're going to give him the briefcase. Off he goes, wins a world title. And instead, it was Damian Priest who won the briefcase, which was another good choice. But most people wanted LA Knight, clearly. Triple H addressed this in the post Money in the Bank press conference, where, as he put it, I know LA Knight was a massive favorite. Continuing that ascent, great things come to those who wait. And that rise is just getting started. So while you may be disappointed that LA Knight didn't win at Money in the Bank, it sounds like maybe Tripp still has plans for LA Knight. I guess you look back at Cody and Cody not winning at WrestleMania 39 and people immediately jumping on that as in you've missed that moment, you missed the boat, you missed the special moment, you've missed that reaction. And there was an element of that to Cody, but Triple H then said that this was all part of a longer story for Cody, and I think the handling of Cody Rhodes since WrestleMania has been really good. He's felt like it's daft how over he is as a babyface by being recently these, the classic clean cut baby faces. People tend to hate him. And with Cody though, he's just, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's absolutely knocking it out of the park. And again, getting massive reactions wherever he's going. But my point being, the Cody path seems to be going in the right direction despite WrestleMania. So I have faith that if Triple H says that, this rise is just getting started for LA Knight and it's part of a bigger picture, I think that there's some faith there in hopefully bigger things for LA Knight. Me personally, I think a US title run would be a nice start. Obviously, Austin Theory holds that championship at the moment and looks set to carry on having his rumbles with the Brawling Brutes and with Sheamus. But I think LA Knight would be a great person to take that off him. But hey, that's just me. Right, one last short, fun story. AEW based MJF Maxwell Jacob Freeman yesterday invaded the live stream of Adam Cole, baby, because Adam Cole is obviously a huge streamer, a huge gaming nerd. In the best possible way. And during one of his streams, he always talks about how he likes to keep wrestling and streaming separate. They're two separate entities of Adam Cole, the man, and the man behind Adam Cole. So MJF obviously crossed that boundary. So while Adam Cole is streaming, there's clips of this on Twitter. It's only like 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Just some nice light-hearted fun for your Sunday if you got a spare minute or two. He gets a phone call from MJF, and he's just like, Max, we've talked about this, boundaries. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he wants to talk about strategies for because obviously they're tagging together in the blind tag tournament. And Max trying to talk about double clotheslines and moves, and just Adam Cole has to kind of politely hang up on him while Max then just kind of calls out the gaming nerds. It's just like a nice little bit of breezy 1 minute fun for you on a Sunday. If you speaking of fun, actually, we do have Simon Miller's Ups and Downs live from outside the O2 Arena. That'll be floating around, I'm sure, at some point on this. And also there was a live stream yesterday as well, which I believe was Hamflet and Adam Wilborn. So there's other content to keep you busy on a Sunday. But let's get to some of your questions. Right, the Smark Order has got in touch. I like that name. Hey, Andrew, love your work. Thank you very much. Simple question, Ari, the Bloodline. What now? Well, I'm going to guess. I don't veto these questions before I go on, which is always great or bad. Could go either way, but I guess we're going to probably have a lot of questions along a similar vein. So, what next for the Bloodline? I mean, to me, I think if Roman Reigns took the pinfall at SummerSlam, whoever pinned Roman Reigns would be getting a Universal WWE Undisputed title match at SummerSlam. So by that logic, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Maybe you do Jimmy Uso versus Solo Sikoa lower down the card. I also think you need to get in there somewhere a Jimmy and Roman match as well. Not necessarily in the immediate future, but just somewhere. You have to. Roman's got a lot to run through. He's got Jey to go through. He's got Jimmy to go through. There will eventually, I'm sure, be a match against Solo Sikoa as well. So I've said this a few times when the bloodlines come up on the Soul Sunday news, and to me, it's one where I don't know. I don't try to overthink this one or kind of try to sit here and fantasy book where this is going to happen and this is going to happen, because I'm really enjoying just seeing things play out. And every time it feels like there's a little bit of a lull in the bloodline story, there's something else just around the corner. It's a ridiculous story. It's one of the greatest tales in wrestling history. And who knows, by the time the bloodline saga wraps up, it could be the greatest story in wrestling history. It's that good. So yeah, I'm just asking what's now. I'm happy, brother, just to sit back and let it all play out. But I do think, obviously, Jey Uso and Roman at SummerSlam. Hector Garcia III's got in touch. Hey, Hector. It's easy for me to say. If Seth still holds the title going to WrestleMania, is there an opponent storyline that can be built up for him to face and close the show on either night? He's been so good, that'd be nice for him to check the close the show at WrestleMania box in his career. # Soul Sunday. Yeah, it's one of those with Seth where, I mean, he's had those world title matches at WrestleMania. He's had those world title wins at WrestleMania, but more often than not, it's been a little bit overshadowed because the main event will be Roman Reigns for the most part. And whether Seth gets he gets to say that I've closed at WrestleMania, I think that's more viable now that obviously we're in an age now where it seems that 2-night WrestleManias aren't going to be the norm going forward. So I think so. But in terms of an opponent, for me, I think Gunther's the one to beat him for that title. I think Damian Priest is the one to beat Gunther. Well, I did think Damian Priest was the one to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title, but now I'd be really annoyed if that happened, because I mean he'd probably cash in the briefcase, which seems daft when there's world titles to go after. But I think Gunther against Seth, if you build it right at WrestleMania for that World Heavyweight Championship, I think that's the one that jumps out to me. You can have that headline night 1 and then do whatever on night 2. Marcel Violette has got in touch. That was food. That was pizza that's sent to the What Culture crew. Brilliant. Mark Solid's got in touch. Hey, Mark. Morning, Andrew. Thoughts on who should turn heel when Sting and Darby break up? I'd love to see it both ways, and new crazy face paint for both. Apollo's Happy Money in the Bank was a great show. # This is news. And there's a picture of Apollo, as ever on a Sunday. Thank you for sending that in, Mark. As ever on a Sunday, be sure to send your pet pictures my way. Always puts a smile on my face and makes working on a Sunday a little bit smoother. As for who should turn heel when Sting and Darby break up, nobody. I don't think there is a heel turn in this. I think it's just a case of, Sting's already said that he's essentially in the last year of his career, whether that's a calendar year or, another few months into next year. So Sting is in the end days now. And also, I do not need to see Sting falling through a table from a ladder in the ring at 64 years of age when he's already had to retire once. And it was a nothing spot, really. It didn't really impact the match. Not for me. And on free television, no thank you. I love Sting. I've been a little Stinger since I was a wee boy. Actually, speaking of which, look, there he is. So yes, I'm a massive Sting fan. I love seeing Sting on my television. I don't want to see him doing stuff like that. Just please, no. Anyway, as for who turns heel, I don't think there is one. I think it's just a case of Sting retires. He can still be a presence on TV as well with Darby. He can still be that kind of manager, that role. He does a lot of that anyway as the mentor who's just at ringside, who just occasionally wrestles. So I don't think a heel turn. I think there's no need to. Sergio Pereira's got a touch. Hey, Sergio, what's next for LA Knight? This seemed like the perfect opportunity to strap the rocket to him. Yes, it very much did. As mentioned, I think for me, I'd have him go after Austin Theory, because obviously LA Knight is a SmackDown talent. Austin Theory in the United States title on SmackDown. I'd have him go after that by maybe SummerSlam. Like I said, Austin Theory seems to be kind of still doing stuff with the Brawling Brutes. But once that's done, I think LA Knight, he gets that title. And then you see from there with Gold, and I'm sure the groundswell of support will carry on around him, and we'll see where we go from there. Right, Face has got in touch. Is WrestleMania really coming to the UK? If so, 2 days at Wembley. Yes, yes, and yes is what I would say with that. The first part is WrestleMania coming to the UK, really. They're not going to tease it if they don't have plans to do it. Something that big, something that newsworthy, something that attention-grabbing, they're not going to put that idea out there unless they're going to go through with that. So yes, I do believe WrestleMania is coming to the UK. Yes, I do believe it'll be 2 days, because as mentioned, that seems to be the format now that they're operating on the norm. And yes, it's Wembley Stadium. When it is, who knows? Because obviously WrestleMania 41, I believe, is locked in. Or is it 40? I think the next two are locked in. So It'll be a couple of years, but yeah, I believe that we will do. It will indeed be WrestleMania in the UK. Graham Jack has got in touch. Where do you think Roman sits alongside the all-time greats like Brett, Shawn, and Stone Cold, etc.? And if he is short of them, what would he have to do to get to their level? I mean, nobody's on the level of Bret Hart, so we'll put that out there straight away. Shawn Michaels, he was all right. He was okay. Stone Cold Steve Austin drew a lot of money, did a lot of great stuff, drank a lot of beer, flipped a lot of birds, hit a lot of stunners. The hottest star of the hottest period in professional wrestling history in terms of finances and ratings and whatnot. So Roman, I mean, he's in the argument. It's when John Cena said, I think it was last year, that he thinks Roman Reigns is the greatest of all time. It's like, that's a bit of a push, but I mean, he's there. He's in that conversation. You look at it, and there is Austin. There is. I'm not a Hulk Hogan fan, but Hulk Hogan's there. Ric Flair has to be there. The Rock, people like this. Bret Hart, as mentioned. Bruno Sammartino, if we're going back as well. There's so many all-time greats. And Roman Reigns is that modern day all-time great. John Cena is an all-time great. Roman Reigns he's got to the point now where he's in that conversation, especially with how well this heel run's gone and how well the storytelling's been, how good the matches have been, how much he's owning that character. Graham Lodge, with Io Sky winning with the handcuffs, what's the most creative way of winning you remember? That, as mentioned, Graham, that was such a great way to win. In terms of creative ones that come out, is it Jeff Hardy in Edge, where Edge got wedged between the ladders, underneath the ladder? Something with a ladder. Or am I thinking of John Cena? There was something with Edge and a ladder that kind of instantly comes to mind. Also, another creative finish, which will always come to mind for me. Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, WrestleMania 8, where Bret Hart's in the sleeper and he does the up the turnbuckles and flips over and gets the pin, the 1, 2, 3, becomes the Intercontinental Champion for the second time, and gets a massive rub off Roddy Piper in Piper's first pinfall loss in forever. So I'd lean towards that to Bret Hart. Yeah, or that ladder thing, if I can remember it properly. But I have been Andrew Pollard here at What Culture Wrestling. This has been the Soul Sunday News. There will be videos here of other What Culture content to click on, I'm sure. Have a great rest of your day, whatever you're doing. I hope it goes absolutely well for you. And I will be back next weekend.